Tova, in your last episode, you were telling me to adjust my to-do list based on what I feel I have capacity for that day. Which is a nice idea, but I'm afraid my day is already spoken for. Honestly, your concept of capacity sinking is absolute bollocks. I don't control my day. My boss does. My calendar does. My kids do. Life does. Welcome to The Feminine Duality, a podcast for midlife women where we heal from burnout and we learn how to take charge of our crazy time again. You listened to my episode about procrastination and now you have questions. Or perhaps you didn't listen to it, and honestly you should, because it's a very good episode. You can go back and listen to it now and then come back to this one, but you don't have to do that, because let me give you a very, very quick rundown on what capacity sinking is and why you may very well have quite a few objections about the concept. The idea of capacity sinking is that when I plan my day to day, I look at, in that moment, what do I feel that I'm actually capable of achieving right now. I plan very long term. I plan a year ahead. I break that down into what I need to happen this quarter in order to meet what I hope to meet in the year. I will then break that down into month. I will then do day-to-day planning several days ahead, where I look at what are my obligations on these days. Do I have any meetings to do with my kids? What shifts am I working? What nights do I have the children? What appointments do I have? Blah, 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 blah. I slot all of that in, and then I look at what's left. And then I look at the bigger picture. What do I want to achieve? And I try to predict what I'll be able to get done in a particular day. And then when it comes to that day, when I'm actually sitting down and I'm going, right, what is on my to-do list today? I will have a very honest chat with myself. Do I have capacity for that? Yes or no? Do I have capacity for more? Yes or no? And I'll adjust accordingly. So that's capacity sinking. And so you listened to that episode and you thought, fine, but I'm kind of overloaded here. Your calendar is full. Your responsibilities, they feel fixed. Your energy is all over the place. And I'm pretty sure that no fucker has asked what you want. Am I right? And so you say, Tova, when exactly do I sink my capacity? When you say plan according to your energy, I'm thinking I don't control my day. I don't have a choice in whether I have energy or not. My calendar is full to bursting. It doesn't give a shit. And what if everything on my list is a non-negotiable? You're talking about capacity as though I can just move things around. Be great. Not achievable, but sounds great. The shit I'm drowning in is not optional. The deadlines are fixed. The bills are fixed. School schedules are fixed. And there is still a bloody pile of laundry that needs to be done. I would love the chance to say, no thank you, I don't have capacity for that today. It sounds lovely in theory, but I can't just decide to do less. Tova, you're saying that productivity shouldn't come at the cost of my own nervous system. But here's the panic response that I hear in my head. If I stop pushing, I will fall behind. And falling behind, that's not theoretical. It means missed deadlines, forgotten appointments, irritated boss, and chaos at home. It is a really nice idea, but I do not have the luxury of slowing down. When I do slow down, when I do nothing and I feel like I'm procrastinating, you're saying to me that it's not actually procrastination, it's overload. And I'm nodding along. I agree with you on that. I'm not procrastinating. I am overloaded. But the cynical part of me, that goes, okay, yes, I'm overloaded, but the system still expects me to just somehow manage within that overload. And now you're coming to me and you're telling me to manage my own overload. But while I'm managing my overload, I'm also managing the household. And I'm managing the emotional landscape around me. If all of that is my responsibility, why is it then also my responsibility to manage my overload? And you are probably also saying that this is why planners and systems don't work for me, because none of them take into account the reality of my life. And oh, is that true? Is that ever true? None of the planners out there take into account the realities of my life. That it doesn't exist. You are carrying a belief that everything is a non-negotiable, right? You definitely have this very strong, very real feeling that if you don't do it, it doesn't get done. And you are quite likely taking on other people's needs as though they are your responsibility. Babe, I hear you. I hear every single thing you have just said. And you know what? I have said them all myself. My particular bugbear was self-care. I had a lot of well-meaning friends who would see that I was drowning and they would say to me, you need some self-care. You need to take some time out for yourself. And I would literally respond with, well, fuck off. Because I am drowning here. Between a toddler, a disabled child, a husband, a house, a full-time job, and a very sick father in a different country, it's not like I actually have a choice now, is it? I was very angry about the concept of self-care. Very, very angry. And I still hold on to my very strong belief that telling a stretched, thin, and overwhelmed woman to take time out for self-care is not helpful at all. I would say if you want me to take time out for self-care, then you need to come in and you need to take shit off my plate. And if you don't do that, thank you very much. I'm going to stay where I am and desperately tread water and try to keep my head above the surface, because that is all I can do right now, because I am drowning. And while I'm drowning, I'm not doing a bloody manicure. Okay? So I hear you. I hear your strong feelings about what I said in the last episode. I absolutely do. And I fully understand them. I know that you are the family project manager. I know that you are looking after multiple people with multiple needs that all want a piece of you. And I know that you are also managing work and household around all of that. And I know that you feel that everything is equally important, that everything must happen. Everything must happen now, and it is your responsibility to do it. There is a flat hierarchy of urgency. Dinner, emails, homework, your partner's moods, appointments, housework, kids, work deadlines. All of them sit on the same level of importance in your mind. It's no wonder you feel out of control. This is literally the state of overwhelm. When I used to say that everything on my list was a non-negotiable, oh, I believed that. I truly, deeply believed that. And some things absolutely were non-negotiables. They still are non-negotiables. But a lot of things were responsibilities that I had just quietly absorbed without ever questioning them. A lot of things were a belief that if I don't do it, it doesn't happen. If it doesn't happen, well, that's a problem. And if there is a problem, it is on me and me alone to fix it. Without ever questioning if it was an absolute truth. Did it actually have to happen? And was it really my responsibility in the first place? When you don't ask those questions, you take all of this stuff on and you start to manage everything and everyone around you, including everybody else's emotional well-being. My ex-husband is a stay-at-home dad, and he has always been, even when we were together. When we planned to have children, we decided that he was going to be the stay-at-home parent and I was going to be the working parent and provide for the family. That has always been our setup. But over time, he got a bit resentful because, as he put it, I got to meet friends, other adults, every day, all the time. I don't know if he believed that I literally spent my entire workday just having coffee and lunch, but he didn't like that because he was at home with the kids. He didn't have it. And I went, yeah, that's not fair. You are absolutely right. I do have an identity outside of mom. And I do have social interactions outside of the home. And it isn't fair that you don't. So I would then start calling his friends and find out when they were free to meet up. Because he wasn't. He wasn't ensuring that he had a social life. I saw a problem. I took the problem on. And essentially, I was making play dates for a grown-ass man. And now we have a different kind of resentment in the relationship, right? I never once stopped to ask, is it actually true? Does it actually have to happen? And even if it does, is it actually mine to fix? Is it true that I have a more active social life than he does? Absolutely, without a question. Does he actually have to have a more active social life? I mean, that's debatable, but I would err on the side of, yes, it is very good for somebody to have some social life, at the very least. Was it my responsibility to fix it? Hell no! Absolutely not! My responsibility would have been to say yes. He should have taken on the responsibility of managing his social life, of making his own damn play dates, letting me know so that I can go, absolutely, darling, off you go, have a good time. But it was not my responsibility to fix it. That was his. By calling him my ex-husband, it's very obvious that our marriage did break down. We are now divorced. I am most definitely not his social life secretary anymore, okay? I have resigned from that job. And you know what? The world has not stopped turning. The world is not perfect, as far as I'm aware. He doesn't have much of a social life. But the problem of that has been returned to the person to whom it always belonged, rather than being mine. It was never my obligation to fix his social life. There was certainly an expectation, and I turned that expectation into an obligation. And then I said no. This happens on much smaller scale as well. There is something I like to call the card game. Do you play the card game? The card game is, it's somebody's birthday, and so you get them a birthday card. It's Valentine's Day, so you get your partner a Valentine's Day card. It's Mother's Day, so you get your mum a Mother's Day card. It's such a small thing, isn't it? This card, tiny little piece of card. How does that feed into our cognitive and emotional load? This is nothing, right? Well, it does, because there are a lot of expectations around cards. There are expectations that these cards should arrive on all of these occasions in a timely manner. Yes? And there are a lot of occasions. It's constant occasions for us to run to Hallmark. And then you have to find the right card, because it has to be a card with a message that you are willing to send, but also you know will be received in the right way. Okay? And that's all well and good if the person who is expecting a card from you is a person that you have a good, positive relationship with. But perhaps you don't want to get your mum a card that says you're the best mum ever. Perhaps you and your husband are most definitely not in a place where "I love my hubby, you're amazing" is what you want to give him. Then what do? Find a card that says, "You were a husband, gee thanks." Okay, well that's probably not. And then you have to find a balance. And then you have to write a message. And God forbid that life has been lifing and you've not been out in time. And so you are rushing to Tesco at 5 p.m. on Valentine's Day and the Valentine's Day card display is empty. Now what do you do? It's a lot of stress about a card. Because it's not one card. It is multiple cards across a year to multiple people. And it is a social script that you are just expected to follow. And then you have the expectations on the other side. You know, you're the recipient of the card. And so you have to open the card and you have to give the correct anticipated response. You have to have the right level of gratitude, the right tone of laughter, okay? And then I don't really know what you're supposed to do with it after that, because I don't do cards. But you're supposed to display it somewhere for a certain amount of time, aren't you? I'm pretty sure there's an expectation around it there. I tend to open the card, read it, react to it, and put it straight in the recycling bin. And I tend to rub a lot of people up the wrong way about this, because that is not the expected response. Okay? I'm aware of this. One card is such a small social obligation that you don't think about it, you let it slide. But because it's not just one card, and because it's not just one person who's expecting a card, it becomes a lot bigger. Suddenly, the card game becomes a part of the bigger emotional load. And you never stop to think, is it true? Does it have to happen? And even if it does, is it actually on me? You never stop to think, is this a responsibility I want to take on? Whether it is mine to carry or not, is it one that I'm willing to carry? If you love giving cards, keep giving cards. Absolutely. If it gives you joy, do it. Go right ahead. But if it doesn't, if it's something that you quietly resent, you are allowed to fold and leave the card game and piss people off. But that's their problem to deal with, not yours, okay? If you hear crunching, I am so sorry. It is Luca. She has decided not to jump up on my lap so far in this record. She has decided not to jump up on my lap so far in this recording, was what I was just about to say, and she went, "Oh, did you say lap? Oh, is the camera out? Here I come." Now you have a cat butt right in the viewfinder if you are watching this on video. Thank you, sweetheart. How you doing? She's been snoring on the sofa next to me. She has the cutest snore. It's adorable. Hey, I wanted to talk to you about our free mini course, the Burnout Reset. I have burnt out twice, and I'm not talking about the, "Oh, I don't feel excited about this anymore, I must be a bit burnt out," that you so often hear about on social media. No, I'm talking about not being able to feel excitement about anything. Extreme anxiety and failing at even simple tasks. Despite being a highly capable woman, I just couldn't cope with anything. If any of that sounds familiar, the Burnout Reset is for you. You see, I learned a lot from my experience. The warning signs of burnout, the symptoms, but more importantly, how to actually heal and come back to yourself afterwards. In the Burnout Reset, you will learn what burnout looks like and what your personal energy thieves are. And you will get a list of small, doable steps to get some energy back that I promise you actually do help. This is how I managed to be a single mom with a medically complex child, work full-time, run 2 online brands, and feel energized instead of overwhelmed. Sign up to the Burnout Reset for free on subscribepage.io/4ATWME, or better yet, just click or copy the link in the description. As a bonus, you will also be signed up to our email list for more connection and support. When somebody says, everything on my list is a non-negotiable, what they actually mean is somebody will suffer if I don't do it. It is my job to make sure it gets done. There is no alternative. I will be judged if I don't do it. And all of these things feel very true. They feel morally correct because women of our generation, we have been conditioned to think that good women cope, good mothers manage, good employees deliver, good partners accommodate. Ultimately, the responsibilities, they feel like they are fixed in place. But if you start to examine these apparent truths, if you start to actually question them, then you'll see that responsibilities fall broadly in 3 different categories. You have your true non-negotiables, the things that absolutely have to happen. Making sure your kids are fed and relatively clean. My daughter's medical care, emptying the cat litter box, because if I don't, she'll start pooing in my bed, pretty sure. They are fixed in place. These are the real constraints. Some are bigger, some are smaller, but they are there. And you can't really mindset hack your way out of them, all right? The next category is structural obligations. The things that exist because of the system. Paid work, school schedules, car MOTs, legal requirement, right? These are things you don't control. But to a certain extent, you can shape how you interact with them. This is actually where a lot of boundaries and planning lie, particularly planning. How you interact with the structural constraints in your life. The third bucket is absorbed responsibilities. And this is a category that a lot of women never question, or are only just starting to question, such as the emotional management of other adults. Perfectionist household standards, always being available, remembering everything for everyone, smoothing over conflicts, that's a big one, and over-delivering, particularly at work, in order to prove worth and value, right? They feel non-negotiable, but they actually come from conditioning. But if you believe that all 3 of these categories are equal, then your brain concludes, I have no choice, I have no control, and that in turn leads to burnout, overwhelm, resentment, exhaustion, and a massive amount of self-blame for when we inevitably drop balls. But when these categories start to separate, the shift isn't that everything on your to-do list disappears, because it doesn't. But you suddenly start to ask, is this truly mine to carry? Or is this something that I will choose to carry? I'm not sitting here and saying, oh, just drop your responsibilities. Your life clearly contains hard obligations. Some things are absolutely immovable, but some things are adjustable. And some things were never ever yours in the first place. Those you can drop, if you want. What I am saying is, I want you to question this myth of fixed responsibility. This assumption that responsibility automatically attaches itself to whoever is capable enough to notice the problem. And that person by default then becomes the one who makes sure that everything keeps functioning. I'm not here teaching you any productivity hacks. I'm giving you permission to shift your mindset. And when you shift how it is you think about these things, that's where space starts to open up. And when you start opening up space in your capacity, things start to look a bit different. Not the external world. The external world still looks exactly the same. There are still children and partners and parents and work and problems and stuff, right? None of that has changed. But your internal world, that is starting to look very different. The world still has real constraints, but not all constraints are real. And the process of figuring out which is which, that's where capacity starts to change. Is it true? Does it actually have to happen? And even if it does, is it mine? Thank you for listening. From ashes, dust, and crooked lines.
to find.